Super excited to get the camp here. I'm looking forward to 2 weeks away instead of one. I think anytime you can separate the team from normal everyday life and distraction, it gives you an opportunity to focus in on one thing, and that's really a big priority right now. And so making the move to expanding the camp, I think, is going to be a huge benefit for us. I also, if I'm really being transparent, I think I'm looking forward to year 2 with what I have explained to be 35 coaches coming back. So we have our staff. Obviously, we know the deal, but we've got a number of veteran players coming back this year that can very easily turn around in line during drills and explain to some of our young guys what's going on. It's really nice for them. It's nice for me to know that they have complete understanding as to what we're doing, why we're doing it, why we're doing it, when we're doing it. And, I expect to see that come to fruition, the benefits of being in the system for the second year. Outside of that, if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Who wants to go first? Colton, you go. Jim?
Did last year remind you of any previous year in your career, just in terms of the difficulties? I know there are injuries to deal with, but I'm just curious if, when you went back and reflected, is there a year you compare it to, or?
No, this has been 35 years I've done this, and I think after any season you can lay out your bag of excuses. You can. Last year was inundated with injuries, particularly the starters, and that doesn't help you. I don't care who you are, right? But no, last year was very different because of that. That was probably the most I had experienced in my career. And you deal with it the way you have to deal with it. You plug in the next guy and you move on and you do what you can do with the guys that you have. And I was happy, very happy with the way our players responded at the end of the season to win in overtime against Nebraska and to beat Minnesota at Minnesota, and then to perform the way we did at LSU. That game didn't finish the way we wanted it to, obviously, but we played some good football in that game, and so we created some momentum there. And I thought it was the 3 games in the 3 weeks where I felt like I saw our guys playing instinctively. And I say that, and I use that word all the time, and I truly believe that that's where they need to be, that they've got to be able to grab a signal and line up and not have to do a whole lot of thinking. And, you want the athletes that you recruit who have all this speed and this talent, this athletic ability, to be able to go demonstrate why the heck we recruited them. You hurt the process there by inundating them with needing to know more than they need to know. Give them the tools they need to go execute the play and let them get there. And the sooner we can get to that point, the sooner guys look like they've been in this system and doing it for a long time. And that's what I felt like we looked like so much more in the spring. And that's what workouts have looked like since, so I'm looking forward to getting it.
Cool.
Phil, kind of on the same line, you've got 5 offensive linemen that look like that first team that have got some experience, have played together before, now a ton of experience behind those guys. Is there anything you can do in camp to make sure those guys can get to week 1 healthy, or is it just kind of, that's the nature of the position, you guys hope they build that callus up?
Well, just to probably mirror what Coach Fickle would say, you don't get better at the game without playing the game. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to challenge our guys. And it's the responsibility of the veterans to get their job done, but it's the responsibility of the younger players, to make the progress that they need. And I think players understand as you move along in this process where their role is, and embrace that role and be really, really good at it while you're chipping at the heels of the guy in front of you. And, I would say probably deeper in just about every room this year from a talent standpoint. So there's, Coach says all the time, iron sharpens iron. There's so much truth to that. And we have that going on right now in the QB room, the skill rooms up front. And there's some pretty talented young guys from these last 2 classes, that I'm excited about. And so it's going to be fun to watch them develop. And it'll be fun to see which ones can get to a point where they're actually going to be in the mix
Steve, and then
You just said you feel like you're deeper in every room from a talent standpoint. Aside from the familiarity of the system, what's the biggest area in which you think y'all are better offensively now than a year ago?
Who you want me to pick out one? You know, there's a lot of continuity and mojo in the receiver room right now. Coach Knight has done a great job of embracing what we do, and we're just rolling right now. And I think the guys that are returning that have played here already are, you know, thanks to Brady Collins and his team, are just better athletic, physical products than they were last year. You know, as whatever game Will Pauling played his best game, he's better now because he's stronger, he's more physical, and he's more durable. And I think that you'll see that from top to bottom on the roster. And so that's always an advancement, to have these guys coming back with their better versions of themselves. And then we're able to plug in some guys behind them that, you know, will push them for competition. And you know, I mean, any time that players 80 through 85 are better than they were last year, it really means the entire roster has been upgraded. And that's where we want to be, and that's our job.
Carly in the back.
Hey, Coach, how close is the quarterback competition, and what do you need to see from Tyler and Braden, both of them, as you head into camp?
I mean, it's a competition. I know it's not like. Is there anything other than a close competition? You know? So these guys are battling right now, and I think the advantage that Braden has is he has a year under his belt and a huge working knowledge, and he is twice the player that he was last year. I just said that in the staff meeting the other day. He is vastly improved the things that he needed to do from last year, and I'm excited about watching him in camp. And then Tyler came in and went through the same learning curve that Tanner, Mordecai, and Braden had to go through last year. The difference is, though, we have so many people now, so many players in these rooms that know everything. And so the learning curve this year for the new guys is not what it was last year. You know, we still had coaches learning. I mean, I didn't know the restroom was until April, you know what I mean? So it was just everybody, and I had not worked with Fick on a day-to-day basis. And so this year, there's none of that. This year, there's a lot of familiarity, and we also have a great locker room, so our older guys / more experienced guys are all grabbing onto some of these young guys, and they're helping them with where to go, what to do, how to get things done, and then that stuff's going on the field as well. So year two typically is going to be vastly improved over the first one, no doubt.
Nick.
Hey, Coach, you talked about some of those veterans. We spoke with a couple of those guys last week. It was Jack Nelson, Hunter Wohler. They both had really strong things to say about how Tyler came in and just kind of put his head down and worked, and that gained a lot of respect from his teammates. How did you see that, and how have you seen some of that growth since January, February from him?
I think anytime you come in and you can assimilate yourself with the team, you know, both in the locker room and on the field, it's a good thing. You know, it tells you from a character standpoint you got the right guy no matter what position it is. And then here, I mean, I think there's the most respect in this program for the guys, your peers, whether it's staff or it's players, for the ones that show up early and grind, leave late, and you can tell by what's going on when they're at work that they're doing some things away from this building to better themselves, whether it's training or it's learning or it's studying film or wherever it is. And so not just him, but the rest of them have done a great job right now of trying to catch up. You know, we tell them all the time with regards to the tempo of the offense, and they don't understand what I'm talking about because it's such an old school example. But I said, look, if you're running away from home, the train doesn't slow down. You can't run away from home until you can catch the train, right? That's how it used to be. So we're not slowing down for them offensively. They get here, they've got to learn it, they got to be able to do it at the tempo we do it, they have to be able to think fast, and that's going to happen at a different time for each one of these players. But this year, the new guys coming in, they've got a lot of help. You know, this is how it's going to be, this is how it is, here's how you make it better, this is how we get it done faster. And so all of these guys these high character guys that are coaching our younger guys are bringing them along, you know, and for all the quarterbacks, truthfully, they're just better versions of themselves right now, and I think competition should be fun to watch here heading into August camp.
Mark. Coach, along those lines, you talked about Braden and his improvement, being a much better player than last year. I guess, are there some specific examples with regard to him that you can kind of share where, you know, you're seeing that growth?
So there's two things on either end with the two guys, like between Braden and Tyler. They're battling, and Braden is a savant. I mean, he's really, really intelligent. Reminds me a lot of when I worked with Santa. And so I can't keep him out of the office. He studies everything. He's obsessed with it. He's able to answer problems on the field and get people in the right place. And, you know, he's top shelf when it comes to that stuff. And then on the other end, that's forcing Tyler to really be on point here from a mental standpoint. So Braden has made Tyler better just because they compete professionally every day. And then on the other end of it, I mean, Tyler's got a big arm, right? Tyler has a huge arm. Tyler probably can fit some things in, triggering a little bit later than maybe Braden can. Braden can make all the throws. Tyler could probably be a little late on something and fit it in a window somewhere because of the arm talent that he has. You know, and that challenges Braden because he'll go out there and he'll lay one on. He hit a running back, you know, down the sideline towards the end of the spring ball, and that was a pretty long throw, and dropped it in perfectly, and I think Giacomelli caught it, and it was an explosive game for us, and, you know, Braden just kind of shook his head like, that's a hell of a throw there now. And the two of them have strengths, and they're a little bit better in different areas than the other one, and I think it's making both of them better, and they're battling right now. And that's a good thing, you know, for me in my room, and it's a good thing for the offense, and obviously it's a great thing for this football team.
Bill, I asked Mike this along similar lines. You have your 11 scholarship players come in for freshmen, you know, during the spring. You have the other 11 scholarship players, you know, from the 24 class come in during the summer. Just what's your process of trying to evaluate them and if they can help this team this year?
Is that what it was, 11 and 11? I didn't know.
I think that there was 22 scholarship players, I think.
Obviously, anytime you start something sooner, it's an advantage, right? Because you're learning it a little bit sooner, and those guys get used to Brady's training, okay, which is a huge learning curve, and he does a great job of assimilating them in. He doesn't even train them with the veterans yet until they're prepared for it. But they're here earlier, obviously. And then, you know, you can't penalize a player because their high school doesn't let you graduate mid-year. You know, and so we have a number of guys that just based on their circumstance came in June. Some really talented players. You know, so right now, this summer, they're going through that curve that the guys that came in January went through in the spring. And so effectively, you would think we want to get a lot done with those guys in the beginning of camp to try to speed them up and get them to a point where they can just go out and compete. Right now, they're thinking, and then they're competing. Whereas the guys that showed up in January are just lining up, getting the signal they're rolling. So we just got to do as good a job as we can, and we've earmarked, we've got a plan for all of them in each room to try to get them to a point where they can show us what they can do athletically so we can make some decisions with regards to who's in the rotation, heading into open game and who's not. But that's the biggest difference, just time and a little bit of experience with what we're doing.
Zach. Back here.
Yes, sir.
You guys added Joseph Grinn in the offseason. Big body. What do you think he gives you guys?
Well, just what you said. I mean, he's a long, rangy receiver who has run. We thought he ran well, but he's run very well since he's been here. You know, now the first time we're going to get him in pads will be camp, and so I think everybody tends to look really good until you put the helmet, shoulder pads on, and then things start to separate a little bit. So we are. I know Coach Guyton is really excited about suiting him up, and we'll push the ball to him in certain practices, see how he handles that. And he's still, you know, kind of in that learning phase a little bit because he got here so late, but we are definitely happy to have him on the roster.
Top two are Jim and then Steve.
Phil, I'm sure you're expecting a big jump in this offense compared to last year. I'm guessing you probably don't want to share numbers, goals, or anything like that, but for the rest of us, how will that look? Like, how will we know whether year two with this system is going the way you want it to or the way it should?
Well, as you well know, I was very excited about being here last year, right? And, you know, you look back and you assess every season. we went through some ups and downs during the season, and we had some obstacles to overcome. But, you know, and as a matter of fact, I was just talking to Coach upstairs earlier. We have a foundation in now, you know, and I've been explaining some of those benefits now. And, you know, we haven't got the first down yet this year, so I'm as excited as you are, and I think everybody in the room here will probably tell us if we're doing well enough once we get started this season. But if you can't tell I'm excited about the season, then you're not listening to me, because I am. And that's a big part of that is I really like the mojo we have in the offensive staff room right now. And I like where we are from a player standpoint. I think we have a good shot to maybe expand or build on the leadership piece of this whole thing offensively. And just being deeper in the rooms. So we probably can absorb what happened last year. We weren't in a position, I think, to absorb that quite as well as we are now. But as always, I'm not going to know anything really until the end of camp. You know, some of these questions will be a lot easier to ask in 3 weeks. You know.
Front row, Steve.
You ended up with almost an exact 50-50 split of run attempts, pass attempts last year. I don't know how much that was dictated by the way the games were going, but ideally, is that kind of split you want, or what works best for you, do you think?
So, I mean, contrary to popular belief, the goal was not to throw the ball 80 times, right? And I've said that from day one. I just think philosophically, it is an air raid-based offense. But we want to run the open grass and take advantage of the numbers in the run game the same way we do in the pass game. I'll give you a quick stat just to give you an idea. In the last 12 years of this offense, just in the last 12 years I've been involved with the offense that we're running now, we have thrown the ball 18 times more than we've run the ball. And I don't know if a lot of people really understand. We don't go into a game saying we're going to throw it 40 and run it 40. There's options to do both on a lot of the plays. What we want to do is make sure that we are extremely efficient when we run it, so that at least you have to respect stopping the run. And we want to be extremely efficient when we throw it, so you have to respect stopping the throw game. And if we do that, I don't care if we do 180 and the other 20 in a game, it doesn't matter to me. The quarterbacks are there to take advantage of what the defense is giving up. And just over the years, it's played out to be fairly balanced. And so, obviously, we want that trend to continue. So the emphasis on both sides will be great.
Thank you, Coach.
Good.
Appreciate it.